When all 10 millionaire chefs laughed at a dishwasher, she revealed an unexpected, life-changing talent. Liz stood at the sink, a mountain of dirty dishes surrounding her like an endless ocean. Each plate that slipped from her hands felt like a weight on her heart. She was just a dishwasher from Maplewood, Ohio, thrown into the chaos of a New York City restaurant. The clang of silverware and the rush of bustling servers reminded her of where she came from, how her family slaved away to build a better future for her. They had sacrificed everything: her mother's late nights and her father's dreams, all while she experimented with pots and pans in their little kitchen. Liz dreamed of bringing people together with her cooking, just as her family had done for her. As the restaurant prepared for the annual culinary contest, the air crackled with energy. Liz caught snippets of conversation between excited chefs, each more arrogant than the last. They were millionaires, coasting on their achievements while she scrubbed away at their mess. Liz lowered her gaze, the laughter piercing her resolve. She felt a mix of indignation and shame. But she also felt something else, a mix of grit and determination she couldn't shake off. Her parents had taught her better than to let towering egos crush her dreams. Then, on that fateful day, a well-known chef named Charlie noticed her. He leaned against the counter, observing her efforts as she painstakingly removed a stubborn sauce from a pan. With a grin, he drew closer. "You have an eye for flavors, don't you?" he said, with a hint of warmth. It struck a chord deep within her, igniting something that had been buried under self-doubt. "You should enter the contest," Charlie suggested with a twinkle in his eye. The laughter erupted around them, dismissing her in an instant. So what if a dishwasher thought she could cook? "You don't get it," someone scoffed. Yet, just as Charlie winked at her, an ember of hope ignited. In that moment, she felt seen. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Liz stood at her station, a rookie in a den of lions, feeling the eyes of millionaire chefs weighing on her. With each round that passed, she showcased her heritage dishes carved from the heart of her family's recipes, each bite encapsulating love and resilience. Her hands moved deftly, yet self-doubt crawled in. Were her dreams forged from delusion? Then disaster struck. A star chef sabotaged her final dish, leaving confusion and frustration boiling in her stomach. Heart racing, Liz remembered her mother's unwavering encouragement, the warm embraces that sparked her ambitions. She couldn't let this moment define her worth. She needed to rise above the scheming and the cynicism. In the final seconds, she mixed ingredients from her roots, retrieving every ounce of talent they had believed in. As the judges prepare to taste her creation, anticipation thickens the air. The stakes are high, her emotions run wild, and Liz knows this dish has the power to transcend the barriers built by judgment. Would it honor her family? Would she prove herself? Time ticked away, leaving everyone hanging on the edge of a transformative moment, embracing the hope of what could be. Liz held her breath as the first judge, a celebrated chef with an air of superiority, lifted the fork to his lips. With each passing second, the world around her melted away. All she could focus on was the way her heart pounded in time with the ticking clock. She poured every bit of herself into this dish. If it was a failure, it wouldn't just sting, it would shatter everything she had been working toward. The judge took a bite and paused. Silence fell over the eager crowd. Her fellow competitors whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of disdain and curiosity. Liz could almost hear the gears turning in their minds, wondering how something so simple and humble could even compete with their polished dishes. But they didn't understand. His eyes widened, and Liz felt hope flicker. He swallowed, then raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "This is," he began, his voice turning thoughtful. Delicious. She couldn't help but smile at those words, transforming the weight of the moments leading up to now. The shimmer of doubt was overwhelmed by a rush of vindication. But she couldn't get lost in the moment. There were more judges waiting, and they were known for their ruthlessness. One after the other, each judge took their turn. To Liz's astonishment, the feedback was better than she could have imagined. They were impressed with her bold flavors, the nostalgia surrounding her presentation. It was as if they were tasting her story. Who knew a dishwasher could create something so profoundly layered? One of them remarked, scanning the crowd, catching the eyes of naysayers. An eruption of whispers filled the room. Liz tried to shield herself from the stinging laughter that echoed moments earlier, but it still crawled under her skin. As the final judge prepared to take a bite, Liz realized she was no longer just a dishwasher, she was a contender. A tight knot of anxiety twisted inside her, but she focused. She was here for her family, for her dreams. She remembered her mom's voice urging her on, "You're stronger than you think, Liz." The final judge, a culinary legend, took a moment longer, closing his eyes as if savoring a memory. Liz's heart raced with uncertainty. He'd tasted 100 dishes today. What would make hers stand out? A few agonizing moments passed before he opened his eyes. This is what food is all about. It takes me back. It's a story I want to hear again and again. In a heartbeat, the restaurant exploded with applause. Liz blinked against the flood of emotions. Each clap hit her like a wave crashing against the shore, strong and exhilarating. It felt surreal. The millionaires who had laughed at her now waved her onto the stage, applause echoing louder than their ridicule. It was happening. She was being noticed, recognized not just for her cooking but for her spirit and determination. But just as her head began to float in the clouds of hope, shadows crept in. In the back of the restaurant, one chef lingered, his expression darkening with envy. His eyes bore into her, filled with a seriousness that sent chills down her spine. What was he plotting? Liz's joy bubbled, but deep inside, she felt a chill. Would her triumph invite a new battle, one that would threaten everything she had fought for? As the celebration soared around her, she realized she had won the judge's approval. But in the cutthroat world of culinary arts, victory brought its own risks. Would she be able to protect her dream amidst rising storm clouds? The competition was only beginning. When the applause faded, Liz felt an unfamiliar sense of acceptance wash over her. The mingled scents of herbs and spices filled the air as waiters rushed to serve other dishes. She had done it, she had made them taste her story. But in the back of her mind, that chilling gaze from the envious chef still haunted her. As the event came to a close, Liz stepped off the stage, her heart still racing, and her head spinning with emotions. She was greeted by her mentor, Carlos, a short but fierce figure with a thick mustache that twitched when he laughed. "You did amazing, Liz. They loved your dish." He beamed, his pride evident. "Thanks, Carlos," she replied, attempting to hide the lingering dread in her voice. But what if Carlos cut her off, his eyes narrowing just slightly. "Let them underestimate you. That's where your power lies. Just keep doing what you're doing." But even as she nodded, doubts crept in. She scanned the crowd, her eyes settling on the chef who had eyed her with such intensity. His dark brows were furrowed, and he spoke to a group of other chefs, their laughter sharp and condescending. Was he plotting something to sabotage her newfound recognition? Taking a deep breath, Liz forced herself to shake off the jitters. She had to celebrate this moment. She was finally being seen. As the evening wore on, more chefs approached her to offer congratulations. Some extended hands of camaraderie, while others wore smiles that barely reached their eyes. Liz accepted their compliments with gracious nods, pushing the nagging fears aside. But she could feel their envy, a heavy weight draped over her shoulders. What had once felt triumphant now felt like a spotlight for the wolves lurking in the shadows. A couple of hours later, the event dwindled, and Liz found herself alone for a moment, leaning against the cool bar. She needed clarity. The transformation she sought, the respect she hungered for, it all felt incredibly fragile. Just as she was about to pour herself a glass of water, a familiar figure approached her, Fiona, a competitor known for her high-end gourmet style. "Congratulations, Liz," she said, her voice friendly but with a hint of something else swirling beneath. "I was really impressed. Your dish was unexpected." The last bit lingered, weighing heavier than praise. "Thanks, Fiona," Liz replied, her heart racing again, trying to decipher if the compliment was genuine or laced with spite. Just then, the chef that had been watching her before stepped closer, joining their conversation. "You know, competition does funny things to people, doesn't it?" He smirked, as if rehearsing a line that had gotten too tired. Liz clenched her fists, an urge to defend her passion rising within her. "Funny, indeed. But it's South only fueled my drive." His smile faded slightly, revealing a glimmer of annoyance. "Just be careful. Not everyone here is a friend, Liz." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving a chill in the air. Liz felt the weight of his warning, but it mixed with determination. She couldn't let fear dictate her journey. That night, as she lay in bed, thoughts buzzed in her mind like fireflies, both magical and alarming. She understood now. The competition wasn't just about cooking, it was a battle of willpower, grit, and spirit. What dangers lurked around the corner? Liz glanced out her window at the glowing city lights, her heart racing with both excitement and dread. She was ready for the challenge. But would that be enough to protect her dream when jealousy cast such a long shadow? As she closed her eyes, a determination stirred within her. Tomorrow would bring new tests. Would she rise to meet them, or would she let the darkness close in? The question lingered, hanging in the air like steam rising from a simmering pot, as she drifted into uneasy sleep. The next morning came too quickly for Liz, the sun slicing through her curtains, lighting up the room with an eager brightness that made her squint. She pushed herself up, sleep still tugging at her. Today, she wouldn't let fear hold her back. Today marked the start of a new chapter. She slipped on her favorite apron, the one she had sewn herself, adorned with herbs and spices that had once been mere dreams simmering in her mind. As she prepared her pantry for the day, the sense of her familiar ingredients brought solace. "All right, focus," she whispered to herself, swirling a sprig of rosemary between her fingers. "This is your moment." At the restaurant, excitement and anxiety mingled in the air like butter and garlic. The other chefs were busy, fervently prepping for their rush-hour crowd. Liz took a deep breath, envisioning the diverse dishes she could create. But the second she entered the kitchen, her gaze slid to the corner where that envious chef had been the night before. He was there, focused, attention coiling around him like steam from a stock pot. As she moved to her station, she could hear snippets of conversation around her, both friendly and backbiting. "Did you try that new girl's dish? What a fluke. She won tea last." Liz grimaced at their words, feeling the sting of their doubt. "Enough of this," she declared, even as her heart thudded in her chest. The weakness they echoed was something she had fought all her life. She wasn't just a dishwasher now, she was a creator, a storyteller through her food. The thought ignited a fire inside her. With determination, Liz gathered her ingredients, exploring colors and textures, and started concocting a dish that blended her grandmother's recipes with modern flair. She poured her essence into every movement. It wasn't just cooking. It was a revelation, a declaration of who she was becoming. As she finished plating her latest creation, she glanced up to see a few chefs lingering nearby, their eyes on her work. Fiona appeared again, sipping her coffee as she observed. "Wow, what are you cooking?" she asked, genuine surprise flickering in her tone. "It's a twist on my grandmother's saffron risotto. I'm adding scallops and a touch of citrus," Liz replied, pride warming her voice. "Interesting choice," Fiona said, her eyebrows raised, taking an involuntary step closer. Liz could sense her interest, but it mingled with skepticism. "Yeah. It's risky, but sometimes you have to take risks to get noticed," Liz replied, her heart pounding even as she spoke. Just then, the intense chef, Lucas, passed by her with a scornful smirk, muttering just loud enough for her to catch, "Good luck at the bottom of the class." Liz clenched her jaw but held on to her dream. His contempt only intensified her resolve. Later that afternoon, as plates started to whirl around in the kitchen chaos, Liz sensed the moment approaching. She had an idea, wild and bold. An impromptu challenge, a cooking duel. Gathering the courage of those who believed in her spirit, she blurted out, "How about a friendly competition? With the other chefs?" The kitchen fell silent. All eyes turned to her, surprise etched on their faces. Liz felt heat crawl up her neck, but it was now or never. Would they laugh? Mock her? Or finally acknowledge her passion? As murmurs circulated, Fiona stepped forward. "I'm in," she declared, her excitement contagious. Slowly others nodded, the barrier cracking. Suddenly, Liz felt electrified. Maybe this was how she'd break through the wall of jealousy and doubt, a challenge to silence the whispers once and for all. But just then, Lucas turned back, eyes narrowed. "Count me out of your little games," he sneered, "this isn't a playground." Liz felt her determination quiver at his dismissive tone, but deep inside her, a quiet confidence grew. She would prove herself, no matter the odds. As the chefs moved back to their prep stations, anticipation surged around her. What would tomorrow hold? What kind of dishes would emerge from this brewing storm? The sense of simmering broth and fresh herbs filled the air as Liz's heart raced with exhilaration. In the arena of flavors and innovation, she was ready to carve out her place. Would she summon the courage to step up and face her fiercest competitors? Would the wheeling doubts spin away into victory, or would they cling to her dreams like stubborn shadows? The stage was set. The universe waiting, breathless at the edge of the unknown, poised to unveil the next chapter of her journey. Liz woke up with a flutter in her chest. The sun poured through her window, but today was different. Today wasn't just another morning. It was the day of the cooking duel. The weight of anticipation settled on her like a heavy coat. This was her chance to show everyone what she could do, to turn whispers of doubt into applause. She put on her apron, the fabric feeling reassuring against her skin. The herbs and spices she loved felt alive in her hands as she prepared for her day. She moved through her morning routine, the rhythm calming her jittery spirit. Arriving at the restaurant felt surreal. The kitchen buzzed with energy, pots clanging and orders shouting through the air. But today, Liz wasn't just another face amongst the flurry. Today, she was a contender. She could almost taste the excitement in the air, rich as a simmering sauce. As she entered, Lucas shot her a pointed glance. He stood tall with an air of authority, already assembling components for his dish. He wore his cocky smirk like a shield. Liz met his stare, her heart pounding, but she held her ground. "Doubt wouldn't win today. Ready for your close-up?" He mocked, brushing past her like a storm. It only fueled her fire. She tightened her grip on her spatula, a determined smile creeping onto her lips. This was the moment she had visualized, the moment she would show them. Fiona sauntered in, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Hey, you ready?" she asked, leaning against the counter. Liz nodded, feeling a rush of camaraderie. The other chefs gathered around, their faces expressing a mix of skepticism and curiosity. "All right, folks. Let us see what you've got," one of the head chefs announced, clapping his hands to gather everyone's attention. "The theme is fusion. Show us your twist on traditional flavors." Liz felt a jolt of inspiration. She recalled her grandmother's recipes and the fusion twist she'd been dreaming about. Spice clashed in her mind like colors on a canvas. She envisioned her saffron risotto with an unexpected punch of spicy chorizo and zesty lime. It was bold, it was risky, and it was all hers. With her determination boiling, Liz rushed to her station, heart racing as she began to gather her ingredients. She chopped and stirred, weaving nostalgic memories into modern flair. The kitchen pulsed with life around her, but she became a world unto herself, lost in the movement and the smells. She could feel the eyes of her coworkers on her, some filled with disbelief, others with budding respect, but she focused on one thing, her dish. As she leaned over the pot, the steam caressed her face, filling her lungs with fragrant anticipation. Each ingredient scooped out was a step closer to making her mark. She could hear the murmur of her fellow chefs, snippets of conversation floating past her. What is she doing? Is that even going to work? The doubt wrapped around her, but they could doubt all they wanted. She refused to back down now. This was bigger than just cooking. It was about courage, about her journey from nothing to something. As the dishes began to come together, Liz paused for a brief moment, taking in the chaos and cacophony of the kitchen. It felt electric, ready to burst. She knew this wasn't just a competition, it was an opportunity to showcase her soul. Finally, with a flourish, she plated her dish. The vibrant colors danced on the plate, a celebration of her past and future. As she stepped back, looking at her creation, she felt a thrill rush through her entire being. "Time's up," the head chef announced, drawing them away from their stations. Liz swallowed hard, nerves and excitement blending together like a perfect sauce. As the chefs moved forward to present their dishes, the tension in the room shifted. What would happen when they tasted her risotto? Would they finally see her for who she really was? And would Lucas's scorn falter in the face of her passion? The moment was looming, thick with possibility, and Liz stood at the precipice of her dreams. Would she emerge victorious, breaking through the walls of doubt? Or would she leave the kitchen once again feeling overlooked? The culinary duel was just beginning, and there was no turning back now. Liz stepped forward, her heart pounding as the moment unfolded like a carefully crafted dish. The head chef, a towering figure with a discerning eye, approached each contestant's plate with a serious demeanor. Liz's stomach churned with every step he took. She could virtually feel the heat radiating from the stovetops, mixing with her nerves. Would he appreciate her unconventional twist, or would her dreams crumble like a poorly baked soufflé? "Who's first?" the head chef called out, eyeing the array of plates. Liz glanced at Lucas, who stood poised, confidence radiating from him. His dish was an elaborate affair, a careful construction of layers that had been plated to perfection. "Let's start with Lucas," the head chef decreed, drawing everyone's attention. Liz's heart sank slightly as the spotlight shifted. She knew he would impress the judges, and there was a part of her that felt small in comparison. But she pushed that thought aside, reminding herself of her own journey, of every late night spent with her grandmother in the kitchen, crafting meals that were stories in themselves. As Lucas explained his dish, a complex take on traditional paella, his voice dripped with arrogance. He made grand gestures, and the spectators chuckled and nodded, impressed. Liz held her breath, knowing every word was a stark reminder of their rivalry. Then it was the moment of truth. "Liz, you're up next," called the head chef, beckoning her with a tilt of his head. A hush fell over the room. The echo of utensils clanking dulled as she approached her plate, her palms slightly sweaty. It was now or never. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "This is my saffron risotto with spicy chorizo and lime," she started, her voice gaining strength with each word. "It's a fusion inspired by my grandmother's recipes, blending traditional Italian with vibrant Spanish flavors." The murmurs resumed, some intrigued, others skeptical. She felt Lucas's piercing gaze behind her, and she squared her shoulders. In this moment, she was more than a dishwasher. She was a chef with something to say. With a smooth motion, she presented her dish. The vibrant yellows and reds fought for attention, a canvas of culinary culture. The head chef took a spoonful, his expression unreadable. Time stood still, all she could do was watch as he savored the first bite. She held her breath, willing every flavor to dance on his palate. He said, contemplating. The room waited with bated breath. Liz's heart raced, hope swelling within her. I'm surprised. This is bold, he stated, a hint of challenge in his tone. The chorizo packs a punch. It works. Relief washed over her barely. As the other chefs followed suit, tasting and critiquing their own dishes, Liz found herself lost in thought, replaying every moment that led her here. What if, despite her hard work, she still didn't measure up? The other contenders were wrapping up their presentations, but Liz could only think of the impending judgment from her peers. Would they still see her as the girl who washed their dishes rather than an equal in culinary artistry? The challenge wasn't merely about the food, it was personal. Finally, Lucas approached her, a smirk plastered on his face. Not bad for a dishwasher, he sneered, but before she could respond, a voice erupted in the background. Fiona, with all her bubbly enthusiasm, stepped in. Just wait until the judges get a load of all of us. We all have our unique flavors. Her support felt like a warm blanket, wrapping around Liz's insecurities. Liz squeezed her spatula tighter, conviction swelling. She had poured her heart into this dish. It was her truth, and she was ready to face whatever came next. As the head chef made his rounds, Liz caught snippets of praise and critique drifting on the air. But the tension hadn't lifted. How would he judge her against the others? Would it be enough to heal the wounds of self-doubt she had borne for so long? The room held its breath for the head chef's final deliberation. Each person was on the edge of their seat, itching for release. Then, with a glance at Lucas, the head chef prepared to announce the winner, and in that charged moment, Liz wished for nothing more than her chance to finally shine. Would this reveal forge her path to recognition, or would it leave her in the shadows once more? The answer was drawing near, and Liz was ready for whatever fate had in store. The head chef cleared his throat, the sound echoing through the heated silence like a drumroll. Liz felt her heart thud louder than the chatter that had filled the room moments before. Every eye bored into her, their hopes and expectations weighing heavily on her shoulders. It felt like the world was hanging on this announcement, teetering on a knife edge. After much deliberation, he said, his voice steady and authoritative, the winner of this round is. The suspense was almost unbearable. Liz clutched her spatula tighter. She felt as if it was her lifeline. Lucas. The head chef's words rang out, and a wave of applause surged through the room. Liz's heart sank. The applause ricocheted around her, but it felt distant and muted, as if she were watching a scene play out from behind frosted glass. Lucas beamed proudly, his ego inflating like a balloon, but Liz felt like a deflated version of herself. For a moment, she wanted to disappear. The laughter of the other contestants, now directed at Lucas's victory, felt sharp and cutting. Why was it that, no matter how hard she tried, she still fell short? She stole a glance at Fiona, who clapped enthusiastically, her eyes shining with hope. You were amazing, Liz. She whispered, trying to offer a comforting smile, but the words felt heavy on Liz's heart. The validation she craved seemed just out of reach. It wasn't just about winning, it was about being seen, about finally stepping into the light and breaking free from the shadows of her past. As the second round began, Liz stood with a mix of anger and resolve brewing inside her. The other contestants prepared to showcase their dishes, spurred on by the adrenaline of competition. But Liz wasn't done. Each of those dishes, they might have more layers, more garnishes, but did they have her heart? She watched as forks danced over plates, chefs bantering, and excitement crackled in the air. Her eyes darted between the contestants until they landed back on her own creation. She could feel the energy buzzing around her, it felt alive, and so did she. With a renewed sense of purpose, Liz made a snap decision. She would show everyone, not just the judges, but Lucas too, that she was more than just a dishwasher. She leaned over to Fiona, whispering fiercely, I'm going to push my limits. I want to create something unexpected for the next round. Fiona's eyes widened with excitement. That's the spirit. Let us do it. Liz rushed to her workstation, her fingers flying over ingredients. Bright tomatoes, aromatic spices, fresh herbs, they all began to assemble into something bold and daring. As she chopped and sautéed, every slice felt like a piece of her story finding its voice. The kitchen buzzed louder, but in her mind, all the noise faded. She could hear only the rhythm of her passion. While the other chefs plated their carefully arranged dishes, Liz took a different approach. Plating her dish was cathartic. She arranged the vibrant colors without fuss, celebrating the chaos of her emotions. This wasn't just food, it was her declaration, her manifesto. With every ounce of energy, she completed her dish and stepped back, breathing heavily. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. It was hers. As the head chef called for the next round of presentations, anticipation hung in the air. Liz stood tall as it was her turn again. This is my take on a bright summer gazpacho with an unexpected twist of chipotle and cilantro, she introduced, her voice steady even when her heart raced. The murmurs rippled through the crowd, curiosity piquing. The head chef took a spoonful, his brow furrowing as the flavors burst in his mouth. The crowd held its breath, and Liz could feel every pair of eyes fixated on her, but what she didn't expect came next. Will he appreciate her boldness? Or will he dismiss it as foolishness? The tension was palpable, the air crackling with anticipation, as she awaited his judgment. The head chef paused, his spoon hovering just above the plate. Liz's heart raced in sync with the silence that fell. She could see the wheels turning in his mind, the way his brow knitted together like a canvas waiting for paint. Was he in shock or deep thought? She couldn't tell, but dread seeped into her bones. To her left, Fiona strained to catch a glimpse of the head chef's reaction. The other contestants exchanged glances, some leaning in toward the edge of their stations, eager to witness her fate. Liz could feel a bead of sweat trickle down her back, and for a moment, she doubted herself all over again. Had she truly pushed her limits too far? The head chef finally lowered his spoon, and she caught the glimmer of a smile creeping across his face. This, he said, his voice laced with enthusiasm, is adventurous. Bold flavors, unexpected layers. Who would have thought? Her breath caught in her throat. Was this real? Were those words directed at her? He turned to the panel of judges, their expressions transforming from skepticism to intrigue. Liz's dish embodies the spirit of creativity we're looking for in this competition, he continued, looking back at her. She took risks, and it paid off. This is how you transform the ordinary into extraordinary. Applause erupted, louder than before. Liz stood frozen, a stunned grin spreading across her face. She could hardly believe her ears. She was being recognized not just for cooking, but for infusing her identity into her work. It was as if the walls of doubt surrounding her began to crack and crumble. Around her, the other contestants were clapping, though Liz could see a few faces straining to mask their surprise. Lucas fidgeted nervously, and in that moment, she felt a shift. Was she no longer just the underdog? Had she earned a place among them, carved out a space in this chaotic kitchen? Fiona rushed over, her excitement beaming. I told you. You did it, Liz. You showed them. Her voice was a melody of encouragement, infectious and vibrant. Liz laughed, the wind of hope filling her lungs. I didn't know if they would even like it, she replied, still overwhelmed. Don't doubt yourself again. You've found your voice. Fiona exclaimed, squeezing Liz's shoulder, and for the first time that day, everything felt right. Yet as the exhilaration washed over her, Liz couldn't help but feel a familiar claw of anxiety creeping back in. What if this moment was a fluke? What if the judges had simply been caught up in the surprise and whimsy of her dish? As she stepped back to allow room for the next contestant, she glanced at Lucas. He was visibly bristling, the confidence that seconds ago surged through him now unmistakably wavering. Could she handle his resentment? Was she ready to face the complicated dynamics that success would bring? The camaraderie of the competition teetered on the brink of shifting into something far more competitive, something less friendly, but Liz pushed those thoughts aside, willing herself to focus on the next round. She needed to keep the momentum going. Still riding the high of her moment, she turned back to her workstation, sparking her creativity anew. Next round is about fusion cuisine, right? Fiona chimed in. I have an idea for you. How about we blend an Italian classic with a traditional Mexican street food? Her friend's excitement fueled Liz's fire. Yes. Let us do it. She exclaimed, determination flooding through her. This was her chance. As they moved to prepare, excitement bubbled in her stomach, intertwining with the lingering anxiety. Could she really be a contender? Would her next dish set her apart in a sea of culinary excellence? The judges were coming. Would she knock them out again or crash back down? Not knowing filled her with both dread and exhilaration. The kitchen hummed with the energy of competition, and Liz was ready for whatever came next. Tomorrow was another day, another chance. Would it be her double dose of triumph, or would the shadows of doubt return? The next morning dawned crisp and bright, the sun spilling light into the kitchen like a warm hug. Liz couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation as she ghosted by the bustling contestants already lined up, their aromas swirling around her. There was a comforting familiarity to it, but she couldn't ignore the tension threading through the air. Today was pivotal. She pulled on her apron, the fabric still smelling faintly of last week's ingredients. Fiona was already at their station, her hands busy slicing fresh vegetables and rebooting the energy of Liz's creative spirit. The kitchen was alive, a steady hum of clanging pots and sizzling pans serving as an orchestra, and right at the center, they were ready to conduct their masterpiece. Okay. So how do we do this? Liz asked, excitement mingling with nerves. The fusion idea had burrowed into her mind, and with each passing second, the flavors danced rather temptingly at the edges of her imagination. A tomato-based sauce inspired by classic spaghetti, vibrantly spiced with hints of chipotle and cilantro? Yes, please. Topped with fresh queso instead of Parmesan, it felt right, a delightful rebellion. I'll start on the sauce while you get the pasta going, Fiona suggested, her eyes sparkling. We'll make them crave it. Liz nodded, plunging her hands into the task ahead. As she rolled out her fresh pasta, she couldn't help but feel a tickle of excitement. The pressure was building, but she made a mental note to breathe through it. This wasn't just about winning, this was about carving out her identity, yet just as she swirled the pasta into boiling water, she felt the weight of eyes on her again. A glance at Lucas confirmed her fears. He was watching with intent, his face a mix of concentration and something else. Was it determination? Or perhaps jealousy? The thought flickered through her mind, stirring that anxious knot from yesterday. What if he felt her win was undeserved? What if she inadvertently stirred the pot, igniting something detrimental in the camaraderie they had shared? Focus, Liz, focus, she muttered under her breath, shaking her head to clear the thoughts. Do it for you. As her sauce began to simmer, Liz pulled together the remaining ingredients. Her hands moved faster now, adrenaline fueling her. There was something electric about the kitchen at that moment, the colors, scents, and sounds blending perfectly like music. Fiona glanced over, a knowing smile breaking through. You've got this. She cheered, and with a rush, Liz felt reinvigorated. She could envision the judges' expressions, their noses flaring with delight as the dish was placed before them. The mere thought sent sparks through her. Finally, with the dish nearing completion, Liz plated her Italian-Mexican fusion masterpiece. It was vibrant, mouth-watering, and packed with personality, a culmination of her journey and identity. She stepped back, admiring the colors, the contrasts, the whole thing. But as she turned to signal for the judges, an unsettling doubt crashed into her momentum. What if this was too much, a wild flavor combination that no one could appreciate? What if this risk was not met with cheers but ridicule? I just hope they love it as much as I do, she whispered to Fiona, who merely shook her head with a chuckle. Trust the process, Liz. And trust yourself. As the judges entered the kitchen, an electric hush fell over the competitors. Liz's heart beat furiously as the panel moved closer, their expressions unreadable. This was it. Moments before judgment. Would Liz finally break through the doubts that had haunted her, or would today become another chapter of shattered dreams? The lead judge leaned forward, eyes narrowing in intrigue. "Let us see what you've brought for us today." Liz swallowed hard. "I hope it's everything you didn't expect." But was it? Would they share her vision or tear it apart just like before? Liz stood silently, her heart thumping like a bass drum as the head judge leaned closer to her masterpiece. A vibrant plate of Italian-Mexican fusion stared back at him, each color bursting with promise, each ingredient a piece of her history and aspirations. Would he see it? Would he taste the love and struggle she had poured into every detail? "Today, we've challenged you with fusion cuisine," he began, his voice steady and strong. And this he gestured to her dish, bringing the spoon to his mouth, and everything else faded away. Liz felt like she was holding her breath in an underwater world, suspended in disbelief. His expression shifted as he savored the flavors. "This is a bold choice, combining elements that seem worlds apart," he remarked thoughtfully. Time slowed as he chewed, her anxiety morphing into an electric anticipation. What felt like ages were mere seconds, inching toward affirmation. Finally, he smiled, a genuine, glowing smile that lit up his face. "This is incredible. The flavors complement each other so well. Who knew you could capture such complexity in a single dish?" A tidal wave of relief washed over Liz. The applause erupted like fireworks around her, the sound of appreciation bouncing off the kitchen walls, each clap echoing her hidden resilience. Seemingly forgotten doubts slipped away like water through her fingers. She had done it, she had finally stepped into the limelight. Fiona rushed to her side, her eyes sparkling with joy. "You did it, Liz. You proved them wrong." But just then, Liz spotted Lucas in the corner, brow furrowed, jaw clenched. His disbelief was palpable. There was no doubt it irritated him deeply that the once invisible dishwasher had made such an impact. Staring at his thwarted confidence made Liz's heart soar. Doubt no longer defined her. She had carved a new identity, creator, an artist crafting stories through food, and now, a formidable contender. As the remaining judges continued to taste her dish, she felt a sense of power she had never known. The murmurs among her competitors had shifted from skepticism to admiration. "That's something special," she overheard Fiona whisper. It felt like music, yet, amidst the applause, an unending urge throbbed deep within her. Liz wasn't just here to succeed, she wanted to uplift everyone like her parents had done for her. People whose laughter once belittled her now watched with respect, and she longed to inspire them. "Let us not just celebrate," Liz called out, her voice breaking through the growing commotion in the kitchen. "Let us create a culinary showcase not just for ourselves, but for the community around us. Let us show what real flavors can inspire." Gasps rippled through the crowd, and a collective spark ignited, filling the air with renewed energy. Her words seemed to shatter expectations. The million-dollar chefs nodded, some sipping their drinks, others murmuring to one another. Intrigued, Lucas's eyes met hers, finally devoid of contempt. Instead, there was a flicker of understanding. Perhaps this wasn't just a competition but an opportunity to come together, a chance for growth that didn't thrive through rivalry but through unity. One by one, ideas began to flow through the room. Fiona proposed collaborations, and other chefs began to volunteer recipes that celebrated their heritage while embracing the twist of fusion they had known earlier. Liz couldn't believe how quickly tension turned into excitement. As laughter filled the space, Liz knew she had begun to change more than just her destiny. She had sparked a transformation in an entire culinary community, and she was grateful for each challenge faced, every doubt overcome. Through every dish she created, every laugh shared, and every gaping wound of ridicule healed, she had only just begun to grasp the flavor of the world she would create. As the judges finished their deliberation and the competition came to a close, they addressed the contestants with satisfaction. Congratulations! With such vibrancy, you all have turned this competition into a showcase for creativity, collaboration, and culinary brilliance. The applause that followed felt intoxicating, wrapping her in validation. Together, they had transformed their rivalry into an inspiring journey toward collaboration. Liz looked around at the chefs who had once smirked at her aspirations. They were smiling now, proud allies on the path ahead. She realized she could inspire not just from the kitchen but in her community. As the judges announced the winner that day, it didn't matter who took the title. Liz had already won something far more precious, acceptance and recognition for who she was and the latent potential she had awakened, and as her heart swelled with pride, she took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever came next in her journey. So, if you've resonated with Liz's incredible story, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread her inspiring journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this unforgettable ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your actions can make a real impact.